Good morning, everyone. This is Morning Coffee with Jesus. I'm Rebecca, and today's topic is willing vessel. So I hope you have your coffee and your Bible because we're going to get into the Word this morning. I was going to have a glass of water, but I didn't get to that this morning. So you're going to have to imagine with me. If I have a cup and it has water in it to the halfway mark, would you consider that half full or half empty? Well, people are going to determine whether it's half full or half empty based off of where they are in life and their perspective of a situation. So here's my example that I want you guys to think about. If you only had a cup, right? And at first it's full, you're fine, no problem. But once it gets to that halfway mark, then you start to look around and think, do I have any more left after I drink all this? If you have a giant pitcher of water beside you, then guess what? You're more likely to say the glass is half full because you know you have an entire source to be able to refill that particular glass. But if a glass is at that halfway mark and you know there's nothing else that can fill up, maybe you're out of water that day or you're somewhere where you can't get to water, then you're going to call it half empty because you can't see beyond what you currently have. So if you're not looking at the possibilities that God has for you, then you're just looking at natural situations and things that you're coming around, and it causes your perception to be thrown off because you can't see what God has for you. And this happens more often than it should, to where we are looking at natural things that are going on in our lives. And what happens is we lose sight of the promises that God's given to us, and it causes us to revert to what we're capable of doing, our natural strength. And we all know that with our natural strength, it's kind of limited on, what we can do as far as, making sure everything's taken care of. And, think about your job. You can only make so much money in a day. So if you've reached your cap and you need more to go on, well, it's not so good because you're not going to make more than what you are trying to, unless you get a second job and you're going to get worn out and tired, and we don't want to do all that, right? So if you're just joining me this morning, our topic this morning is willing vessel, and I want you guys to be able to go live with me. So if you have questions or if you have something that you want to say, you can click the request button to go live with me. And what that will do is you'll pop up on the screen with me. You can ask the question, and then I'll answer it, hopefully, and then we'll go from there. But if you are not comfortable with going live too, that's fine. You can simply put your question on the comments, and I'll answer them that way too. So we have to have the correct mindset in order to get that blessing state, that overflowed state that we're looking for. So I want to show you this. We have to see beyond what's in front of us. And a good example of this is in 2 Kings 4:1. And it says, a certain woman of the wives of the sons of the prophet cried out to Elijah, saying, your servant, my husband, is dead, and you know that your servant feared the Lord, and the creditors is coming to take my 2 sons to be slaves. So Elijah said to her, "What shall I do for you? Tell me, what do you have in your house?" And she said, "Your maidservant has nothing in the house but a jar of oil." So let's think about this for a second. This woman was married to a man that knew the things of God, right? And now he's passed away. And so now she's looking at, oh my gosh, he was our source. He was our supply. And now we don't have any money to pay all of these past due things that we have going on. And they're about to take my kids because I don't have the money. And so she goes to him and she's like, you know who my husband was. Can you help me? Well, the first thing he asked her, what can I do for you? Then he asked her, what do you have? Well, her reply was, I don't have anything but a jar of oil. So to her, that jar of oil didn't seem like anything. Nothing that was unable to supply her need, right? Well, I like what Jerry Saville says. He says, if what you have doesn't meet your need, sow a seed. Okay, so think about that. If you don't have the amount or whatever it is that you need to take care of the situation, then you need to sow a seed so God can increase it, so you can be blessed beyond what you're needing, okay? But again, you have to have the right mindset. You don't want to be like this woman who was saying, I don't have anything. Well, I know we've all been there sometimes where we're like, I don't have anything. Well, you do have more than you realize. God just needs something so small to be able to work with. In 2 Corinthians 9:10, it tells us that God gives seed to the sower. So if we're not sowing, we're not going to have seed. But if we are sowing, guess what? He's going to supply the seed for you. So don't ever think you don't have anything, because God is going to supply that for you. So Elijah was trying to get her to see what she had that God could use and be able to bless in return. Well, God can work with whatever you have. So don't ever think your seed is insignificant, that, it's not a lot, I'm embarrassed, everyone else is giving more money, or everyone else is doing more for God. Hey, you know what? Start where you're at. If you've got $1 to give that. You've got to be able to start somewhere. So don't let people put you down because you think, well, I don't have enough. It's not good enough. With God, He can make anything good enough. So see your worth before you, start heading out. Don't let people put you down. God can work, like I said, with whatever you have. So begin to step out and sow that seed. You have to be a willing vessel, willing to obey what God is telling you, no matter if your brain thinks it sounds silly. Sometimes your mind is going to play games with you, and it's going to try and tell you, oh no, that's not going to work. You can't do that. Don't let your mind change everything. If God tells you to do something, do it. Right then and there. No questions asked. Do it. So we're going to continue in 2 Kings 4, and we're going to start in 3 now. It says, then he said, go, borrow vessels from everywhere, from all your neighbors, empty vessels. Do not gather just a few. And when you have come in, you shall shut the door behind you and your sons. Then pour it into all those vessels and set aside the full ones. So she went from him and shut the door behind her and her sons, who brought the vessels to her, and she poured it out. Now it came to pass, when the vessels were full, that she said to her son, bring me another vessel. And he said to her, there is not another vessel. So the oil ceased. Then she came and told the man of God, and he said, go sell the oil and pay your debt, and you and your sons live on the rest of it. Okay, I hope you guys are getting the picture of what just took place there. The oil didn't run out until The jars ran out. You get it? I hope you're getting it this morning. If she would have known how this was working, how the overflow was taking place in her life, she would have went so much farther to get more jars, because she's thinking about, okay, this is what we've got that we need to take care of, and so this is kind of what we need. Well, if she would have had 100 more jars, guess what? The oil would have continued to fill up in those jars. It didn't stop until she had nothing else. Guys, when you are a willing vessel, God will continue to use you. He will continue to fill you up, to work with you, because He has something to work with. But when the jar runs out, when we reject God, He's got nothing to work with. So we have to be that willing vessel, open and saying, Lord, fill me up. Don't let me get dry. I don't want to be like that jar that I'm like, I have no more. Use me, Lord. Show me what it is that I have that you're capable of using. God is looking for a way to bless you, but He has to have someone that's willing to work with Him. It doesn't matter if you think you don't have anything. I want you to look around this morning and say, Lord, open my eyes to see what I have that you can use. Lord, fill me up until I overflow so I can be a blessing to other people around me. In Isaiah 1:19, it says, if you're willing and obedient, you'll eat the good of the land. So not just being obedient, but being willing, being saying, Lord, I want you. I need you. Help me, Father. Show me what it is that I can do today. What is that seed that I need to be sowing? Is there a certain person I need to give into this morning? What is it that I need to do? And He's going to begin to talk to you. He's going to show you exactly what it is that you need in your life to be able to get through that situation. God wants to bless you. He wants to love you. He wants to show you how real and how good He is this morning. So make a decision to be that willing vessel. If you guys have any prayer requests or anything, please leave me a comment and let me know. You can email me at morningcoffeewithjesus@hotmail.com. Follow me on my Facebook group, Instagram, Twitter. But I want to be able to encourage you guys and pray with you and stand in agreement with you. I hope you guys are having a great morning so far. I love you, and I'll see you next week.